things that was on the top of my bucket list to do was to pursue some of the things that I didn't have time to pursue while I was still working. Guitar playing was right there at the top. In fact, my hope was to spend considerable amounts of time from day to day, 2-3 hours maybe, while I still had the capacity to play, and see if I couldn't improve and continue to learn, because I think until the day that you don't breathe another breath, you're still learning. So unfortunately, what I found was playing started to do something different than it had ever done before, and that is it started hurting my fingertips acutely 30-45 minutes into playing, and it was getting to be enough of a situation that I couldn't really administer touch to the strings anymore. And so the feel wasn't there. And so I knew I needed to do something fairly significant to try to change that if I was going to get a chance to play like I wanted to. So the first thing I did was with this guitar. Now this is a Martin D35S, and it's not a typical dreadnought in that it's got a shorter neck. It's got a 12 fret neck, and it's got a slightly wider nut up here, a 1 7/8 nut. So neck's a little wider and a little shorter, and so the body is shaped a little bit different, but it gives a really beautiful tone. I'll put up another video about this guitar and the interesting way that I came to acquire it back in 1972. The first thing I did was I put some silk and steel strings on this guitar, and I have those on here now. They sound really beautiful. And they are easier on the fingers. The tension on these from nut to saddle is a lot less than the steel strings I've been playing. I usually play either light gauge or mediums, or sometimes what they call a bluegrass set that was mediums on the top and lights on the bottoms. So this got more comfortable, and I can play this guitar longer now, but it still didn't solve the problem. And so I thought, well, perhaps what I should be looking at is a nylon string guitar. And I hadn't played a nylon string guitar for any length of time since I was 14 years old. So I just dove back in thinking I would find there what I had found back then. And the world had changed a bit. Given that those of us in the baby boom generation are such a large bubble on the population curve there, and given that so many of us play guitars, a lot of folks preceding me have apparently found the same thing. And I found out through playing some things and doing some research that there are some options when looking at nylon string guitars. Now, the first nylon string that I got was made by La Patrie, and it was called an Etude, or E-T-U-D-E, Etude. A great sounding little guitar. It too had a 12 fret neck. The nut width was slightly wider than this Martin, and the neck profile was just a little bit different, but it had a beautiful, beautiful sound. And after about a week to 2 weeks of playing it, an unfortunate thing started to happen. I started picking up pain in my wrist that moved to my elbow, that moved to my shoulder. And it was something, I believe, about the wider neck and the higher arching that you need to do on a nylon string guitar. And I'm not sure what it was, but I'm thinking it was one of those things, and I knew right away that wasn't going to last. So as I got a little deeper into the market, I started looking for guitars that were called crossovers, and I was just learning about those, and that's what I went with. I originally ran across this guitar in a guitar center. This is a Cordoba Orchestra CE, and it's part of their Fusion line, which means a few things. Most importantly of which to me was it had a 1 7/8 nut, which is the width of the Martin D35 we were just looking at, or the D35S as it's more appropriately called. Also had some other things that attracted me to it. One, it had a cutaway, so I could get up and play in the higher registers from time to time. Had a cedar top, which after trying some with spruce tops, which that's what I thought I wanted, I found that the cedar top delivered the sweetest tone that I had heard to that point. It also has rosewood back and sides, and it's got a preamp with a microphone and a saddle pickup in it, so I could use it to record with potentially, or if I had it, ever needed to have it out and play out, then I'd be able to do that as well. And it has proven to be a great little guitar. So it's good for me. Those of you who are interested in nylon string guitars may find a classical with a standard size classical nut and neck works better for you. But this works for me, being a steel string player who wanted to move to something that was more gentle on my fingers. A couple of things to be aware of. One, the nylon strings tend to play at a lower tension than the steel strings, so they feel a little different under your fingers. They want to move around a little, so you have to pay a little more attention to accurate fingering on them. This particular guitar has a truss rod, which I found to be very helpful because I like having the action relatively low. I mean, already I'm starting to suffer fatigue in my hands, and I don't want high action that I'm having to fight all the time. So with the truss rod and with a good luthier guitar tech, I was able to set the action on it relatively low and have it play comfortably all the way up the neck. Can even get up in this register a bit. It's got a beautiful tone, albeit a different tone than a steel string guitar. One of the things that I have found in playing is that the sustain or the ringing feature, which a lot of people refer to as sort of the zing that the strings have, is less on a nylon string guitar. And so the approach to actually playing it's a bit different. It requires a little more pronounced approach to it. And so it requires some getting used to, but it's been fun. So those of you who are experiencing difficulty with the fretting of your instrument, you may want to consider a nylon string guitar, and unless you're actually going for something more along the lines of a pure classical guitar, a crossover is something that's, I think, attractive to take a look at. Hopefully, if you are interested, you'll have a chance to play them. I did find that playing them as opposed to just looking at them online and reading other people's opinions was really critical for me. What I will do, hopefully in the near future, is record something for you on the nylon so you can hear it more extensively than just me talking about it, and record the same piece of music on the Martin D35S, so there'll be a more direct comparison, apples and oranges, between the two guitars. At any rate, as a gray picker, aging guitarist, I have found this to be a very wonderful alternative for me. I certainly don't think of any less or as a fallback. It's a main instrument every much as my steel strings are. And I've really enjoyed it, and I've been able to now play the guitar much more extensively over longer periods of time on a given day. And so that bucket list, I'm able to be checking some of it off. At any rate, thanks for watching. Don't hesitate to post comments if you've had some experience that you'd like to share, or if you have questions of me. And hopefully as we go through the coming weeks, that I'll be able to get you some videos up so you can hear more about how this guitar sounds.